Alright, let's see what happens.
So now everyone's an animal furry.
Soylent System, a group of facilities formerly created by Solaris. These facilities existed all over the Earth. It is said that originally they were used for biological experiments and brainwashing. And that turned out to be the truth.
Well, yeah.
The people who mutated into what were called Vels, or the true form of humans, gathered at these facilities.
You know, making a fursuit is just a lot easier. You didn't need to do all this.
Some of the humans turned Vels were attacking healthy humans and devouring their flesh and blood. That is because healthy human flesh and blood eased the pain of their sudden molecular changes and let them live longer. Their lives were so short.
Maybe the twist is that we're only the humans from Earth and this is a place of aliens.
Again, we will see.
Severely mutated beings started to seek the flesh and blood of the less mutated beings.
Oh dear.
The Soylent System divides and merges those mutated bodies on a molecular level. Any questions, class? Instead of facilities that would create a more perfect single life form to be used as a weapon. This is my science class. Any questions so far?
Again, this was another dungeon that will be abridged towards the actual boss fight at the end.
This was the truth behind the Gazel Ministry's M plan.
M plan.
Yes.
Yeah, they did mention it. Creating what they did called angels, quote unquote.
The M
Mutants,
project.
that's what the M is for.
So we're gonna make the first X-Men. Cool.
And then we'll make Sentinels.
Not
That-
so cool.
That doesn't look like a sentinel to me, Edge.
That doesn't look like a Dyson Hoover.
You having fun there?
Fine.
Literally
Wake
going up.
Go to those facilities and you will be freed from the unbearable agony. So people gathered, seeking a fulfillment of this promise. There is salvation there. The news spread, although no one actually uttered it.
It was actually a trap. Someone just shoots you in the head when you're dead.
Their mutated blood probably told such people to gather there, quote unquote.
Oh, just like the reunion in 7.
A bit, yeah.
We went there to destroy the Soylent System.
But we only ended up creating it!
No, eventually it was literally there to begin with.
It sounds like something Major Striker would.
There, humans fought amongst themselves greedily for limited pardons to live. It was an ugly battle to keep on living, or so it may have seemed to the casual passerby. But to me, they were desperately trying to live. It was each person's natural human form. There were the haves and the have-nots, and among them, there were some of my former friends from Solaris.
So,
Don't worry, the Gambler Goobers are not there.
They wanted our flesh and blood. They told us the haves should not share with the have-nots.
Should
They
share.
asked if a have such as myself could understand their plan.
Pain.
Sorry, Pain. I couldn't answer. No matter what I said, it would have sounded like a conceited have speaking. Even so, I wanted to relieve their anguish, and I decided to do so.
At the time, it's like Elly's turned to Vader. It's like, okay, pain.
Just like the person in the memory of my dreams, in the distant past.
It's like they're dancing in the bottom. Oh.
And suddenly the system went out of control. The Suffle mass, a monstrous organism still in the process of amalgamation, broke through the barrier in the life support facilities that stood before us.
Turn around, there's a monster behind you.
No longer of human form, that which was once human began eating the people gathered there seeking relief.
So
You should turn around.
We had to fight it in order to save the people, and in order to save them, the eyes of that which was once human looked at me, putting for death to take away the agony.
So fight him.
Basically.
I won't lie, this feels like it's turning into one of those script live readings you see at a black box theater.
This is not too different also for a game that Square released on the Super Nintendo called Radical Dreamers. It's actually
Hello.
included now with the release of Chrono Cross. Anyway, there's our boss
and
fight.
Hello, and welcome to the Xenogears audio drama.
I mean...
Anyway, alright, here's the thing. The strategy of this fight is you have automatically pay Elly and Cheaton for this one, so, you know, you don't have any particular arrangement to do. Your main strategy is to attack the Sulfur Mass, because if you instead try to attack any of the other wells that are around, if I recall correctly, every time one of them dies, the Sulfur Mass either, if I recall correctly, either gains attack point from it, or unleashes a particular, damaging attack. So it's best for you to actually try to actually damage it. Unfortunately, some of your those skills actually heals the Sulfur Mass instead of actually, damaging it. So it's more of an experimental kind of thing. Let me check in the meantime exactly again what was the gimmick of the fight. Go ahead, Jova, in the meantime.
Okay, I definitely do see what you warned us about, because, in the span of what feels like an incredibly tiny fraction of the plot, it feels like we went from
We're
0 to 11 all of a
yes.
sudden.
Blah, 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 something led to another, then this.
And I do get why it's that case, but now this really just reinforced my feeling that they probably should have reevaluated what they really needed to keep and what they should have kept to help form a coherent narrative. Because, I guess if there was one complaint we did have about Disc 1 and Cycle, Disc 1 was overstuffed with some stuff that probably could have just been left on the cutting room floor, essentially. And now I'm beginning to wonder if that was even more the case than we thought, because if Disc 1 being overstuffed is the reason that Disc 2 is like this,
No, it wasn't like that. Again, it was because, remember, they were just keeping developing, but the problem is that the game took a while. That was because of the inexperiences of the development team. And around this point, where we're actually developing this tool, we were developing in sequence, not out of order, Jova. While they were around this point, this was the point where the budget started being essentially depleted because of Spirits Within, and the team were also starting to be relocated to a assist on Final Fantasy VIII. So again, it was just essentially a matter of circumstances. It wasn't really a case of they still had to decide what to cut and what not, but it was more of a case of they had arrived at a point that they could have not prevented to have.
So what you're saying is that Disc 1 was them just, working on it unhindered
As
for the most
intended,
part.
yes.
And then Disc 2 is essentially where they have to go chop, 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 chop.
Yeah.
Now,
Again, it's an unfortunate victim of the circumstances. Like I said, if a re-release of this game ever has to happen, I would actually prefer to accept one that actually stores as much of the content that was cut as possible.
I will say this, though.
With the art section.
I will say this, though, even though they had to make the cuts here, I do still take issue with how it is presented. Don't get me wrong, it does tell us what we need to know, but it feels so off. I feel like what they could have done was maybe just chop it down to, say, cutscenes at least, so that it feels like the story is at least progressing properly. I mean, unless they literally didn't have any budget to show cutscenes properly. Because, again, I get just cutting stuff down to these boss fights or something, sure, maybe. But when it's literally about having to do all this reading or whatnot, again, not always a bad thing, it's just that with how this is completely different from how the story was told in Disc 1, it can come off as, well, just so alien. And I can really get how this may actually alienate a player from continuing. Not saying it would alienate me, but holy cow, it's like running into a brick wall after a relatively rough ride, essentially. with how different it is.
It's also a bit of a pace kind of thing because, well, okay, the audience doesn't know that, but this thing has been taking us quite a bit of time, particularly this one, while we're kind of just breezing through these two right now.
Yeah, I was about to say, like, do we have, like, only 6 parts left?
No, 14.
Oh, okay. Still,
So
though, yeah.
very some stuff. That's because, but only because there's so much to unpack. And don't worry, Jova, not everything is cut away or summed up. There is legitimately the very more important stuff that they needed to tell and having you to fight about is actually there.
I will say this, though. Talk about an incredibly jarring first impression of Disc 2. Like, I mean, okay, first you get what feels like a properly fleshed out story scene, so you think you're gonna get these important fights and whatnot with how they build up to it. Nope! Tutorial battle here, one-off battle here, text, cutscene, picture behind me.
I get the feeling, Jova, that Takahashi is just as frustrated as this, if not more than we are.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay,
let me know.
again, I don't want to spoil too much because again I want to say that for the final part just to mention, but there is a reason why Takahashi left Square after this game.
Okay. And I will say this. I'm not saying that I'm entirely blaming him on it. I'm just judging the game as it is given here. Like, now whether or not those were his fault or whatnot, that's stuff to be sorted out later. I'm only judging how it is right now. And I can honestly say that, whew, this has been one of the wildest rides I've seen on our show. And trust me, that's saying something.
Okay, I did mention it off commentary, true to be told, the audience doesn't know that yet, but I did mention that this is our first major project that is a bit of a step up compared to the previous one. Not to say that the previous ones were not, in terms of at least the stuff that I handled, but to be perfectly honest, Final Fantasy VII is wildly popular and it's very digestible in terms of his story, despite having such grandiose kind of themes, talking that that's to talk about.
And from what you've implied, it seems like Final Fantasy VII was a refinement of this plot overall.
Well,
more on that later.
That wasn't what I was about to say, but Nier, despite having one in particular interesting plot that not many have tried until that point, outside of some precursor like say Shadow of the Colossus, for example, was still in a way that it was digestible, despite also having the card content as well. The Mana was a bit of a weird beast because it was entirely made to be a, you make your own adventure every day and it put together the pieces of a broken world.
Not a bad idea.
So it was more of a casual kind of like of adventure with a lot of cryptic bullshit tied around it. This is again a very heavy and important story with multiple characters having each of their own goals intersecting with each other. And trust me, again, I haven't still lied to you. The real holy shit kind of parts still have to arrive, despite everything that we have seen so far. But it is unfortunately hampered by the development that it was had. Because if it was actually fully released in full force, I can easily believe the total amount of this would have been even more longer than the end result was.
Is there a story bit coming up?
Yes, actually.
Well, I'll say it afterwards then.
I'll remind you after the party's over, don't worry. Because now, despite having defeated the Sophal Mass, Elly, as mentioned, kind of feels pity for them. Oh, Pedro, can you take over?
Ethan, please lend me your sword.
No, it's mine.
She wants to do something, actually, with that. And we get a new anime cutscene. Haven't seen those in a long time.
This is where the budget went.
Put him out of its misery.
No, not necessarily as well. More like give it one last bit of solace before it actually passes away.
Okay, now you've given them your
blood. Remember, they'll starve for that.
I guess I couldn't help you after all. All I can do for you now is ease your wounds.
Lip flapping!
We already
I
went
think
through
it
this.
was. It's still going to the Japanese dialogue. I think.
You.
So now even the Solarians become mutated.
Well, everyone on the that was infected by both the virus and the nanomachines. But again, it's about Elly to take a stance.
Please listen to me. Stop fighting among yourselves. We are all humans.
Oh, I think it's a big rousing speech, actually.
Guys, pay attention. Over here.
Oh, speak up!
Guys, I told you to stop fighting. Stop fighting.
Or spinning. Like,
Not
whatever
even
you're
fighting,
doing.
it's
Stop.
spinning
Look at
around.
me. Come on. This facility was built by the Solaris Ministry.
Oh, there you go.
Mm-hmm.
Are you clapping?
It was created to implement their no waste plan. That's supposed to be about general waste, not whatever the fuck you were doing. Such facilities were to convert mutated humans into weapons that serve as tools for their ambitions.
And food for the masses.
Mm-hmm.
And I was part
We
of
don't
it.
tell them that part yet.
And I was part of it. Shit.
Just one part of their overall plan for racial purification.
And look where it got you all.
One of them was their arms literally tied together from books.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, once you enter their umbrella of protection,
You see me wearing a cloak.
It's more of a parallel more than anything.
I wonder.
you can avoid absolute death. But is that human life? If you mean immortality, then that actually kind of sucks.
Mm.
We've already been into this.
Mm-hmm.
Even if you are the only one left, if you're devoid of a heart, what does it all mean?
That makes you a nobody then.
No, heartless.
Oh, no, it's a heartless. Like the nobody's
No,
are the
don't you
husks
see?
behind.
Nobody. Well, don't you see? Nobodies are also lacking husks. It's just that they normally look more humanoid.
All of you.
All of you want to be loved, needed by someone, so we look to others. By ourselves, we are lonely, so we try to draw close together to live.
Well, my point was that bit then sounded like corny song lyrics.
There's literally an Encanto song called All of You, you know.
That's what it means to be human. That's how people live. A single hand cannot clap.
Oh,
I don't
yeah?
know that
Watch-
mutant
We
guy
have two
over
of them,
there.
Elliot.
Oh, yeah?
I mean, a lot of us do.
Also,
but
hang on. Oh, yeah? Watch this. See?
To
Fucking
relieve
guy up,
your
that's a clap.
pain, I'll give however much of my flesh you need.
Huh?
Don't worry, Jova.
If you're dying and you know it, clap your hands.
Oh, wait, there you can't. They've all got one arm.
Therefore, don't throw away your dignity as humans.
Oh,
You
so
barely
we're going
have any
Island
left
of
anyway.
Dr. Moreau on this, I see.
Not
You have a morsel of
necessarily.
dignity left.
With the blood from before, see like that, and now having this rousing speech trying to give hope and dignity to humans, Elly has essentially become a messiah-esque archetype.
Just like Sophia.
Mm-hmm.
Don't let go of your human heart.
Again, the religious parallels are still present, but now it's time for the reconstruction, not the deconstruction, Jova. Elly, are you okay? What are you doing?
That dialogue was so corny, I fainted.
You think I'm doing something foolish.
He just asked what you were doing.
Also, I'm probably losing a little bit of blood.
Yeah, that
Yeah,
too. We
like-
should maybe patch that up.
Have a
Like,
doctor?
guys-
Can you actually be a doctor for a change and help Elly, please?
I'm not that kind of doctor.
God
Yeah,
damn
he's.
it.
That
It's
sounds-
like in Treasure Planet. I have a doctorate, but I'm not a doctor.
I only do what I could. Maybe I'm a hypocrite. A well-to-do have.
Well, seriously,
I
Elly,
have-
he was just asking what you were doing. He wasn't critiquing you.
Look, I don't really have any tools. Faye, just use a piece of your clothes to, stop the.
Sure.
Maybe it's only pity for the have-nots.
There's also good discussion to have, here. Again, Elly is literally contemplating the idea she's like the white savior in this case.
But if I can know the joy of giving out a little of the life from within me, then maybe someday it may just be possible that one human can truly give love to another.
Maybe one day we all will love each other.
Yes.
Hold on.
People can do it. I truly believe they can. That's why.
That's the thing, Joe. Remember what sadly the narration said. In the awakening, all people turn into beasts, they turn also emotionally, like towards each other. Elly!
And the lights went off.
And Elly passed out again.
After that, we went from place to place, destroying all the Soylent system facilities located on the surface of the Earth, and freed the people held at each of the locations. All the people that had been mutated were taken in by Nissan, where they received treatment.
And then we're cured
Wow.
off screen?
Oh, is that easy?
Well, not necessarily.
Let me guess, it's more like a
Those who had
temporary
mutated
solution.
only mildly were treated with Taurus nanomachines, which reconstructed and revived them. They were able to return back to the normal bodies, although as you can imagine, not an easy process. Fortunately, there were some that had such accelerated symptoms that their treatment was not as promising. As you can see, Margie also helped with their sect. Trying to bring them back to a form that resembled a human was the best that could be done. However, mysteriously, they no longer fought each other for survival as they did when they were held by the Soylent system.
helped too.
Yes, Margie, you did.
Hey, you did something.
Of course, their recovery from the physical pain of a mutation may have played a factor, but it wasn't only that. The majority of the people received by Nissan were those that had been admonished by Elly and had regained their humanity.
Good for them.
Yes, actually. Between her work in destroying the Soylent system facility, Elly also went around and nursed the people in Nissan. She aided the bodies of the mutated and lent an ear to those who had no other place to go for help.
Oh god, she really is becoming the Messiah.
Basically, yeah.
Well, hey, she
It
did
was the
say
very
to give
image
up
of the
their
woman who
flesh.
created Nissan, Mother Sophia. It became rumored that Elly was a reincarnation or a second advent of Sophia.
Well, I mean, she did say she would lend her flesh, so.
Go to Nissan and you will receive salvation. The news seemed to be spread further around about, and people came from all over to be saved, both physically and spiritually. Free from the supervision of Solaris, the surface dwellers began to unite in one place. And we'll have to see how that turns out eventually, but for the time being, let's have another discussion with the big council. Nessa.
With the Council of Doom.
The Council of Floating Heads.
Dwips.
The germinating of those destined to be the body of the servants of God.
As before, the humans are gathering in Nissan at this rate. Pedro.
Not to fear, this might actually be helpful for us.
Thatch.
The time is near. Should we not prepare for those who are to become the fleshy blood of God and those who will awaken God?
Dwips.
The time has come to activate the gate, you king.
Okay, it's, yeah, yes. But... there you go, that's where it is. But someone is in disagreement. Pedro?
God damn it, Kane, did you betray me again?
What more do you intend to do? I cannot allow you to use the key.
Pedro.
What are you doing?
Without the resurrection of God, our purpose cannot be fulfilled.
My god, you morons.
Are you planning on perishing with God, Kane? Without fulfilling your purpose?
Your purpose You were fated to it from your birth, morons. Why haven't you realized it does not arise from your own free will?
Pedro. Sedge.
Yes, this is our own violation.
If you still insist on opposing us,
Have you forgotten? You are my subordinates. Never forget that. I can destroy you if I so desire.
I could kill you with a mere thought.
We have already
Basically.
done our part. It's time to pass the helm to the next generation. The people will not perish.
But we had a deal.
I have altered the
I am
deal.
altering the deal.
Yeah.
Pray that I do not alter it any
I
further.
am not an emperor of my word.
So the
Council.
emperor
All
All
was.
deals are off.
So I guess.
Theo, you got any artwork you want to share?
First of all, what Dweebs wanted to say. Dweebs?
You know, it's. I was looking at the composers.
Yasuni Mitsuda.
Discography, and it's interesting that up to this, from his first game was Chrono Trigger, and for a couple of years, he was doing music for games like this, ones that had grand, ambitious narratives. And do you want to know what the very next game he composed for was?
Wow.
Marco's Magic Football?
Mario
No.
Party.
Sure.
Neat.
Again, nowadays Mitsuda is more of a freelancer more than anything. He did actually return for Xenoblade actually to compose, I think, the theme song actually for Good Times. But for the time being, artwork of the day, which others can also see, other in the audience this time, thank God, is a song concept sketches for Emperor K's at least the support life system.
So Emperor Kane was always in our corner the entire time.
It's more like it. Yeah, again, it seems that both him and Cheetan were actually conspiring to actually avoid the Solaris having the upper advantage. But we'll have to see how that unfolds. For the time being, in the next part, we're actually back to having a full-fledged dungeon with an actual encounter at the end. Don't cheer up too much, because, again, in order to compensate for that, this is a dungeon that doesn't really have any particular dialogue until the very end of it. So, but at least it's a full-length gameplay section. So I'll take that from what it warrants. So, see you next time for that.
See ya.
See ya.
All right.
Thanks.
See ya.